just instills a confidence and a drive to do more. And I got really lucky that I always had good managers who would find me opportunities for development. For the most part, anybody can file for bankruptcy. A lot of people do really weird things where they will go get a car and immediately file for bankruptcy, which is not a good plan because it takes about 45 days for the time from when you get the car for your paperwork and titling to be complete. My mom was more of a keep me informed and she can negotiate. Like there were things like you had curfew times, and that's important. There were, these are your chores, these are your brother's chores, and that's important. I eat scrambled eggs with mayonnaise because that's how I grew up doing it. That's a thing that I learned from him. Like everything that you're exposed to shapes you. So I was always learning more and doing more and becoming more. And the more that I became, the more that I could see that I could become. He left that lady and he was with me. And I had only known him for 2 months when I became pregnant.
Just 2 months? Wow, that was so quick. Yeah. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, beautiful people, wherever you watching us from around the world. Yeah. Welcome once again on that great episode of 101 on K84 Podcast with your host and friend, Kenna the Greatest. Yeah. Alright. We got truly an amazing guest in the studio today. But before we delve in deep into the conversation, make sure to become part of the K84 family and community by going on all social media platforms and search K84 Podcast and stay connected. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around. The show kicks off right after this.
It's KKATL, turn up, it's official.
Alright, before we proceed to give you what you need, let me say this. If you got a story to share, either being a divorce, you know what I mean, the good, the bad, the business you started, or wherever it is, hey, this is a safe and open space for all to come on and share their stories. No judgment. You know what I mean? So hey, without much further delay, you know what? Who is my guest on this episode?
Megan Langston, a native of Oklahoma, shaped by two households, 2 seasons of life, and challenges that could have defined her, but didn't. She learned earlier that struggle can either stop you or strengthen you. Today, Megan's a dedicated mother, a financial professional like Capital One, and a content creator. Life isn't about how it happened to you, but it's about how you rise and what you made out of it. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready, buckle up, fasten your seatbelt for a great conversation with my guest, Megan Langston, on 101 on K84 Podcast.
Welcome, Miss Megan. How you doing?
I am very well. How are you?
All right. I'm alive. I'm alive and grateful. You know what I mean? I can't complain. You know what I mean? Yeah. So how is life going on with you?
Life is good for me. I am living a happy life.
Okay. So how was life like growing up?
Interesting, to say the least. There were lots of things that gave it character.
Oh, okay. Before we dive in the conversation, hold on. Let me play this game with you. You know what I mean? I ask you a question and you choose an answer and you give me why. All right. So I will start. McDonald's or KFC?
Terrible choices.
But you got to choose one.
Yeah. So if you're twisting my arm, we're gonna do KFC
Why KFC?
because it's not as terrible as McDonald's.
Oh, really? Why? Why do you think McDonald's is terrible?
Because it's gross.
Really? I'm not saying it. She's saying it.
Thumbs down.
Okay. All right. So, what would you do? iPhone or Samsung?
Samsung. I am an Android user
Why?
because I don't feel like I need to pay more for not anything better.
Really?
I do not follow brands for the name of a brand.
Okay. So you always go with Samsung, Android.
Well, Samsung is not the only provider of Android. I've never had a Samsung phone, but I've always had an Android.
Okay. So tell me this, right? Toyota or Dodge?
I don't have strong opinions either way on
what
that.
What would you choose?
Probably Dodge, only because if it's an American brand, parts are probably more affordable.
Okay. So Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Christmas.
Why Christmas?
Because Christmas, I get to do things for my child, whereas Thanksgiving is primarily we meet up, we eat, and we part ways.
You always go for Christmas.
It's more fun for me.
Tell me, where were you born and where do you grow up and then where you from?
I'm a local. I was born in Tulsa, lived in Tulsa and the surrounding area my whole life, and still do.
Okay. Tulsa. You're a Tulsa native.
Mm-hmm.
How was life like growing up?
In regards to Tulsa, it's fine. I like Tulsa. Life growing up was interesting. There were some ups and downs.
Okay, what do you mean by ups and downs?
It was rocky. My parents split up when I was young. I lived with one for a good portion of my earlier life, and then with the other later on. I had a tumultuous relationship with my sibling.
Okay, hold on. Who did you first live with?
So until I was 3, my parents were together, but I have very little recollection of that.
Were they
time.
married?
They were.
Okay.
And then they split up, and my brother and I lived with my father until I was 13 years old.
Okay, how was life like living with your father?
It had its problems. He had problems. So it wasn't a strictness issue because I feel like we were average on the strictness, but it was more of he was not a good parent.
How do you mean he was not a good parent?
He was neglectful. He was an alcoholic. He was abusive.
Was he abusing you and your sibling?
Yes. So
what form of abuse you mean?
I have a distinct memory in first grade of him calling me into school to tell them I was sick because I had a bruise mark on my face from where he hit me with a belt.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I think to keep the discretion alive, he poisoned our relationship with our family members. So I grew up shy and afraid of even my relatives because he would always tell us things like, if this person could, they would do this to you and they're going to take you away and you're going to be in this worse situation. And so like we were not close to people outside.
Girl. So, okay, growing up with your dad, right? How was the home like? You know what I mean? Was he always checking on you guys? Was he a strict parent or, you know what I mean? How was he like?
It wasn't much of a strictness because like he would be gone to work sometimes. And so we were what they called latchkey kids, where you would go home and you would let yourself in and whatnot. And we would go out in the neighborhood and play, and we were able to go to the end of the block, and he would have like a whistle, and if you could hear it, that means it's time for you to come home. And then there's the street light thing, that sort of stuff. So it wasn't a strictness thing. It was just he didn't know how to address his frustrations correctly.
Okay. So what type of job was he doing?
He was a carpenter.
Oh, okay. how did life, unfold with your, you and your sibling living together with, your dad? And then did he remarry afterwards?
He did not. He had mostly a single life, and I think it's because women could see what was wrong with him, and so they didn't stay around very long. And the way that he treated my brother and I was a little bit different. So while my brother also got some of the abuse, it wasn't the same level as me. And then he taught my brother to replicate that same abuse towards me. And if I would tell on him, he would ask me, "Did you tell him thank you for the correction?"
It's a vibe.
What, were you guys bad kids or what? Because sometimes kids, are bad, stubborn, they don't want to listen. So kids, parents would do a little bit spanking.
We were not bad kids. We didn't do roguish things. We were just kids. And if you were late, that was a problem. If your room wasn't clean in the time frame he expected it to be, that could be a problem. Sometimes nobody knew what the problem was. It just was.
Okay, so at what point did you start living with your mom, and what happened?
So there was a transition. When I was 13, my father went to prison. And so for a very short period of time, we went to my aunt's house, which was his sister. But from there, we went into foster care for a period. And then it was after that we went to my mom.
Okay, hold on. How did you got into foster care? Whole thing, because one, your aunt is a family. So how did you end up moving from your dad's home to your aunt, and then to the foster care system, and then to your mom? How did that happen, or what went wrong?
So my aunt is the one who took us immediately when my father was arrested, and so we stayed with her. And that would have been just a step between there and my mom, because she's the one who notified my mom of what happened and said, "Hey, get it together and you can come get him, whatever." But something happened, something changed, and her family at that time decided having us was too much of a burden. And so my aunt went and dropped us off at the shelter and then lied to everyone and told them that my grandma did it while she was at work.
That is crazy.
But once you're in the system, you can't just get out. So my mom had to go through all of the legal in the courts.
At that point in time, what was your mom doing? What was her lifestyle, or what was going on with your mom?
I don't know a lot about what went on during the time that she wasn't part of our life, because my father kept her out and poisoned us to be afraid of her. But when she did get to come back in, she was living a regular lifestyle. Like, she had a husband, she had a job, she had some dogs, just no other kids. We were the only two.
Okay, so finally, you and your sibling, or you and your brother, getting to live with your mom. She's now married with a new family. How was it like? How was life like?
Well, it was just the two of them. As I said, that there weren't more kids. Like, he had kids from a previous marriage. She had kids. So it was just the two of them and their dogs. And so they were used to a very independent lifestyle. And now suddenly you have two teenagers. And there was a lot of learning for everyone. And her husband was her baby, pretty much. You know how women will baby their husbands. And so now there's these two other people who are taking all of that focus and effort and attention. And he didn't like that too much. So he was sometimes petty. And so there was friction, but he was not like abusive or evil to us. He just wasn't the most mature all the time.
Okay, so how was you guys adjusting? Because hey, you've been away from your mom for a long period of time, and then finally coming to her. You guys were already poisoned. So how was you guys adjusting in this scenario?
It was awkward for a long time, because it's strange. It's an adjustment, but my mom's a good person, and she cared, and she made an effort, and it wasn't a difficult transition to become like she had been there the whole time. And now we're like super close.
I see. I see. So all this moment, you know what I mean, you were being brainwashed or poisoned about your mom. So your first day going to meet her, how did you feel? Were you scared or what?
Yes, ish. So like it is scary. It is nerve-wracking, especially for a young person, because you don't know what to expect and you're nervous and like you don't know them like that. So it's like it's weird when people, they know you, they love you, they want to hug you, but you don't know them. So you're just like, get off me. And I had to go through that with all of her family members, which eventually you get through it and they're just like people that you know, they're part of your life. It's fine, but it's weird every single time.
How was your mom, you know what I mean, bonding in that period? Was she sort of like laid back, or was she trying to like make that effort that, hey, I'm your mom, I loved you?
She was super involved. Like when I got there, I went everywhere with her. We hung out all the time. We talked about all kinds of things. I think it's helpful that I was of an age where she could talk to me about things. But for her, even though there was lost time, there was never lost love. So she was able to pick up the relationship where she left it off. And she just had to be patient with me.
Okay. So tell me this, you know what I mean? Growing up, you know what I mean, in your teenage life, you got to your mom's place. Was it a strict home, like how your dad was like, hey, I want this done at this day, at this time, at this period, at this hour, at this moment, at this minute? How was your mom's, you know what I mean, home structured like?
My mom was more of a keep me informed and she can negotiate. Like there were things like you had curfew times and that's important. There were, these are your chores, these are your brother's chores, and that's important. But for the most part, if you want to do something, ask. We can talk about it. But because I had already grown up so sheltered, I didn't want to do a lot of things. I didn't get involved with a lot of things because I always assumed it was a no.
Okay. So how much of influence did your dad had on you growing up? Because you lived with him at a certain point in time.
Lots. Like, I eat scrambled eggs with mayonnaise because that's how I grew up doing it. That's a thing that I learned from him. Like, everything that you're exposed to shapes you. I have all kinds of habits that I've just had forever, even from that time. But I am not like him. I don't think like him. And now he is unrecognizable to me. There was a time when the way that he was, the way that he spoke, the way that he moved was the most normal thing in the world to me, but I've been so separate from it for so long now, it's alien. But I still retain the person that I was then. I am still an introvert. I still don't want to talk to strangers. I still don't want to tell people too much of my business up front because I don't want that to affect their perception of who I am now.
Okay. So what's the caring relationship between you and him? Are you guys so cool or
non-existent? He's not allowed to speak to us. He has made attempts, but
why is he not allowed?
Because I forbade it. I don't want him talking to me. There is nothing that he can contribute that's not going to be a problem.
So what if he comes up to you one day and then be like, hey, I know I did wrong in the past. I'm not perfect, but I want to, you know what I mean? I want to make things up and then be a better person. Would you accept it when he comes to apologize?
He can't. Firstly, he doesn't believe he did anything wrong because he's delusional.
Oh.
But secondly, he has happened upon me a few times just in the world. And it's like a deer in headlights situation. All I can do is stand there until I can come to terms with what is happening and address it. but there's nothing that he can say to me that's going to undo what was done. All he ever really says is, oh, well, you know, I sure do love you. Sir, you don't know me. Get away from me.
I see. All right. At what age did you start living on your own?
Well, on my own. If you're meaning like no one else lived in my house other than my kid, I would have been in my 20s, but I moved out of my parent house.
At what age?
When I was 19.
Why?
I moved in with my boyfriend.
How did you meet your boyfriend?
At work.
Okay.
I didn't even like him at first. He annoyed me, but he people grow on you.
Okay. So how did that, unfold?
We were cool. We had a good time. We got engaged. Then he died.
Oh.
Yes. I am very serious about car wrecks and driving. Like, we are not playing games with cars.
Was he drunk or something?
He was not. He was just a bad driver.
He drive speed?
He had numerous wrecks over the course of his driving life, but that one...
Was it that he wasn't careful, like he just reckless? Oh, how would you...
I don't think it was recklessness. He was just not proficient. He was...
Not paying attention.
Sometimes, I don't know, he was just not good at driving.
So how did that happen?
So we lived in Claremore, Foyle at the time, and it's a rural area. And so he had to, travel down this long country highway, curvy. And he was coming around a curve, and I don't know why, he went across. It's a 2-lane. He went all the way across on the wrong side, but when he tried to come back, he didn't make it, and he hit head on with a farm truck.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Was she driving with him?
No, I wasn't there. He was on his way home from work. Oh. I at that point, I didn't ride with him anymore because he scared me with his driving, so I do the driving if we're going somewhere together.
That is sad. So how long did you guys dated before, it happened? How long you guys dated, married before? No, you guys weren't married, but, got engaged before he passed on.
I can't hardly remember anymore since I was 19. At the time, I don't know, maybe roughly a year.
I see. So, during the grieving, where was your mom? Was she there for you, when you lost him?
Yeah, we didn't live very far. At that time, I would go over to her house most every day just to hang out.
Okay.
But yeah, when I called her so he was late getting home, and so I was sitting on the porch waiting for him, but instead the police pulled up. Oh. Yeah, and they're like, hey, we're looking for the parents of, this person. And I was like, well, they're not here. And he's like, well, who does he live with? Me. So then they had to tell me, which was not great. And his grandma lived right across from us. So then I went over there and they came too and told her. And then I called my mom and she came and picked me up because I was in no condition to drive over to her house, but I wanted to be there.
I see. So in all that, what was going on through your mind? You were young, then, got engaged, and then this sudden loss. What was your mental state of mind at that period?
It was mostly just, what am I going to do? I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to adult. I don't know what to do with this or that, or it was all, I don't know what to do. So I just had to let everyone do, and I had to just exist.
Did you have some form of like therapy or counseling session? Because
no, I don't come from a background where that's a thing that occurs much. Those are luxuries. But I don't know that it necessarily would have helped a whole lot, because it's not like I was alone. It's not like I have a difficulty in processing. It was just, I didn't have the life skills to overcome such a challenge. So aside from the broken heart, now my income is half of what it was. That's not enough for the bills anymore.
So how did you grieve your loss?
The natural way, a hoe phase.
How do you mean whole face?
They know what I mean. So when you have a hole in your heart, you fill it with other people.
Yeah. So whole face, whole face. Or how did that face turn out?
Well, I met people, and one of those people ended up being my baby daddy.
For real?
Mm.
Oh. So how did that happen? Did you say he took advantage of you or what? Oh.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that I was young. I was naive. I couldn't recognize him for the person that he was. I thought he was eccentric and interesting, but really he was just a little bit crazy. So I was actually going over to a friend's house, and he just happened to be there because he was dating the aunt of that friend.
How old was he?
10 years older than I was.
Oh.
But when I came there, it was the weirdest thing, and I should have known, but I wouldn't have because I was too young. He asked me to take off my shoes so he could see my feet.
Really?
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
what?
that was our conversation because he's a foot person. I was like, what? Okay.
Oh. So how did that unfold? You know what I mean? Afterward.
Quickly. Like, from meeting him, after that, we were just always together. He left that lady, and he was with me. And I had only known him for 2 months when I became pregnant.
Just 2 months?
Mm.
Wow. That was so quick.
Yeah. Yeah, but I didn't think it would happen like that. But he did, because he would manifest it. Like, he would talk to my stomach and be like, I'm going to get you pregnant. And I'm like, how about no, let's not do that. I'm too young for this. Well.
Okay, now you're pregnant. What next? What was the plans between both of you?
I was naive and hopeful. I thought everything would be everything. It would be happily ever after. We would be cool. We would live a life. And it was not that simple.
How? Break it down.
We were both struggling. Like, he was older than me, but he had already lived his own life and messed it up. And so I learned more about him and how messed up it already was. So neither one of us had a good grasp of being an adult. And he had zero loyalty. And I was stupid. I couldn't understand the things that he was doing because I didn't have enough experience to see it.
I see. So, during all that time, were you guys living together?
Mm-hmm.
So, was he living with you or was you living with him?
He was living with me.
How?
I had an apartment. He left the lady he was with. So he just came over
he
to my
was
house.
living with the other lady too?
Mm.
Damn. Was he paying bills? Or you were footing all the bills and then he just come in and go whenever he pleases?
It's the craziest thing because he was always a hard worker. He always had a job. Like, I never could fault him for his work ethic. But I have no idea where all his money went because I paid the bills.
For real?
Yeah, like, because it was natural to me. Like, when I get paid, I sit down and pay the bills. But like, I know he drank a lot of his money, but other than that, I have no idea where it went. Because if I imagine that he made roughly the same amount as me, I know where mine went, but I never saw him actively pay bills. So what are you spending it on?
Okay, now you're pregnant. What's the plan or what's the way forward?
Well, I don't know that there was necessarily a plan other than to live.
But this now it's just not you and him alone. It's a new human being coming in this world. So did you guys sit down and then make a plan that, hey, I'm pregnant. How are we gonna do this?
No.
We were just living.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, you continue to live your life, but now you have doctor's appointments.
Was he being part of, regular?
Yeah, he went to
check-
everything.
Okay.
That's another thing, is he was not a bad dad.
Okay.
He was a bad boyfriend. He was a bad man, but he was a good worker and he was a good dad.
Did he have other kids apart from what you had with him?
He had one other kid who was 10 years older.
Oh.
And I knew him. Like, he didn't live in the same town as us, but we would go visit him and, bring him up here to stay with us and stuff. Unfortunately, we lost him when my daughter was 4.
Oh. All right. All right. So was your baby daddy, present when your child was making entrance into this world?
He was, and they wouldn't even let him off work. So, like, he would have to leave the hospital to go to work and come back.
Oh.
But yeah, he was in there. And in fact, my daughter was born on his sister's birthday.
Oh.
So he had his sister on the phone while they were standing next to me so she could be a part of the festivities, I guess. While he's got me by the pillow, like smothering me by pushing my head down into my... And I'm like, get off me, bro. But yeah, he was there. He was there.
I see. So is he active in her daughter's life, or how is he like?
Not anymore. After we split up, his participation went to 0. Basically, he met some other lady, and she decided that if he had anything to do with his daughter, that meant he was actually trying to get back together with me. And so the choice he made was to stop being a dad. I don't know why he made that choice, because I didn't see it coming. And I asked him to make the effort of at least one phone call a week. Keep the line open. But he didn't.
What caused a split?
Because he was garbage. He was drunk all the time, and he was fraternizing with every opportunity available. He could not keep it in his pants. And then he wasn't even smart enough to hide it. Like, he would go to my next door neighbor and tell all his business, who I was friends with, and so she would tell me.
That's crazy.
Right? Like, just don't.
All right. So now, was he on child support?
Not at that time, because, like, when we were together, he didn't need to be on child support. That didn't make no sense. And when we split up, eventually I had to put him on child support. First, I tried to just work with him. I'm like, communicate with me, give me this amount. I think it's fair. It was very reasonable, but he wouldn't do it. So then I had to go and force him to do it, and child support made him give me more than I had asked for.
Oh.
So I'm like, should have took the deal.
I see. So is he currently involved in his daughter's life?
He waited until she was 10 to try and have communication with her. But by then, she's already a person and she doesn't know you. So she wasn't interested. I did take her one time to hang out with him. We went to McDonald's, to the play place, so that, they could hang out and talk, whatever. She played. But it's weird for her. She didn't know him. And then several more years went by, and now she's an older teenager, and he every once in a while will try and talk to her, but she's not interested. It's over.
Is it not the same cycle, repeating itself in your life?
How so?
Okay. You're not that cool, or, with your dad, and then your daughter too, not that cool with her dad.
Very different circumstances. My father was a monster. She just doesn't know hers. I know mine. I don't want him to be around because he's awful. She doesn't know hers, and so it's awkward.
Okay, so now being a single mom, how was life then?
Hard. It was real hard. And I am a lucky one because I had help. Like, my mom was very helpful. And then I also had a cousin who was a huge part of my daughter's life for many years. She would go over there nearly every weekend. So I wasn't even alone, but it was still very hard because throughout the week I was still full time. And it's not like there was going to be someone there to raise her for me. Not that I would have been okay with that because she was the shining star, the only bright thing in my life. So it prevented me from being able to develop as an adult. So my 20s were lost to poor decisions, and I need to be here because somebody has to take care of her.
Okay, tell me, in your 20s, what are the lifestyle you was living?
Roguish.
Let me know.
I was broke. I was in the ghetto. My friends was ghetto. All we did was hang out, drink, waste life. There was no development. There was no learning. It was stagnation.
How long did you stay that lifestyle?
About 10 years until she was old enough to be able to take care of herself
So
that I could go to work.
if you said you guys were throwing parties, hanging out, describe it. How was hangout or your party style like?
So, like, we lived in an apartment complex, and so there's courtyards. So you hang out in the courtyard, you hang out in the parking lot, you hang out at someone's house. Oftentimes it was my house, but everybody had kids. You just get all of your adult friends and all of their kids together. So just be a bang of people. Kids play in the room or outside or over there, and adults sit around and chat. And
So was he a group of females or male included?
it's both. A little bit of everybody.
I see. At what point did you decide, hey, let me get away from this lifestyle and put myself right? And what inspired you to?
So it was kind of unexpected. It wasn't so much of a let me get away from this lifestyle because I'd always wanted a different life. I just didn't know how I was going to get it. Because without opportunity, it's really hard to change things. But COVID came. And at the time, I was working a online teaching job, which is a luxury business.
Okay.
Suddenly, the world is out of work. Luxury businesses are not businesses anymore. So I had to find a different job. I knew somebody who had a work from home job,
Okay.
which is what I needed. And I was able to get hired there. And so it was Capital One, which I didn't even know we had a Tulsa facility at the time. So surprise.
So wait. You were teaching online.
Mm-hmm.
And that, ended. How did you find out, or who introduced you to, Capital One?
Yeah, so my friend at the time, her sister was working at Capital One, and they sent everybody home because they were in an office. But it was COVID. Everybody had to go home. So then they started hiring for you to be at home with the expectation that after COVID, that everybody would return to the office. Luckily, that never happened. They decided productivity works just as well at home. So I love that part. But the culture at Capital One was able to put things in my head that changed my perspective of the world.
How?
So not only did they pay me a wage that I was able to save money to start allocating towards life change and to moving, but they are in a positivity mindset. So even when I was still learning, even when I was still bad at my job, they were always, you did great. And so it just instills a confidence and a drive to do more. And I got really lucky that I always had good managers who would find me opportunities for development. So I was always learning more and doing more and becoming more. And the more that I became, the more that I could see that I could become.
Okay. What is Capital One about? If a layman out there who don't know what Capital One is about.
Ultimately, Capital One's a bank.
Okay.
But I work for the auto finance division. Capital One, I think of as an umbrella. And there are 4 different sectors. There are separate businesses, but they're all Capital One. And so I work in auto finance. And I started out in collections, which is not for the faint of heart. But I have a hustling heart.
Okay.
And so I was able to get really good at it. I have trophies.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, and I won a really cool award. It was a chairman and president's club, and they sent me to California for a 4-day vacation at a resort, and there was like this formal award ceremony. It was very cool
Wow.
because I was real good at what I did.
Wow. So if you look back and now, what has been the transformation when you sit back and then you reflect? Hold on a minute. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, how was my life? And then now.
Actually, end of July, early August was my 5 years at Capital One. So literally 5 years, my whole life has changed. There was a time when someone asked me if I wanted to go with them to Texas. I don't even remember what for. And my immediate response was, I can't go to Texas. Because in my mind, my world was this big.
Oh.
And their response was, why not? And it slapped me in my face because I didn't have an answer. I'm like, I never thought of that. Why not? Why can't I? And because of Capital One and what they provided to me and the way they changed the way that I perceived things, I began to believe that all those things that I thought were always going to be a closed door, those aren't options. Why should I think about them? Now are not closed doors.
I see.
And so now there is not a thing that I believe is off limits to me. There are things I cannot currently do, but I no longer believe it's not an option.
Okay, so tell me this. What is a typical day for you at your job like?
So now I'm a supervisor, which is a lot more fun than being a phone agent. I tell you that. And I don't work in collections anymore. I work in bankruptcy. So now not only do I not have such a high stress job, but I have a specialty. I'm a little credit guru. I'm a little finance guru. I know a lot about bankruptcy that nobody would ever guess. Everybody misunderstands bankruptcy.
What's bankruptcy about?
There's a few different kinds, but
so tell me what are the kinds of bankruptcy?
I don't know all of them, but there's a couple different chapters and they have different details of how they work. But essentially, bankruptcy is the state of declaring yourself bankrupt, that you no longer have the financial means to pay your debts.
Okay, hold on right there. Right. Assuming I go borrow money, a lot of money, right? And then I later file for bankruptcy. Meaning, would I go scot-free? And would it be in prison or send a court? Or, explain to me. We always hear bankruptcy. But bankruptcy is not for, you barely hear broke people say they file for bankruptcy. But you hear most of the time the rich folks will be like, hey, they go file for bankruptcy. So explain to me, what is bankruptcy because you're in the financial institution. So you explain to me in that part.
There are two misconceptions about bankruptcy. The first one is that bankruptcy is for when you're broke. It ain't. It is expensive before, during, and after. If you are truly broke, you cannot afford to file bankruptcy. And the second one is that it removes your debt. It doesn't. It removes your liability. So it does not mean free assets. People think if they file bankruptcy, they get to keep everything and not pay for it. But that's not the case. What it means is your credit reporting is stopped and you are not required to make those to pay those bills because your liability is removed. There's not going to be consequences such as, credit reporting or collections. You don't get to keep the item. You still have to pay for that.
Okay, hold on. Imagine I get a loan from a bank, a huge sums of amount of money, and then I later file for bankruptcy. Am I so gonna pay for the money, the loan I took, or what?
Sort of. So depending on the type of bankruptcy you do, there's a few different ways. So one of them that is common that we deal with is you think of it as a restructuring. So you and your bankruptcy management will take all of your assets and sell off what has value to pay as much towards your debts as you can, and then you'll figure out payment plans for the rest. And then there is Another where you don't sell off stuff as much because you don't have anything to sell. And so at that point, it's really, you're trying to make agreements with creditors. How are you going to pay back? What kind of settlement situations, what agreements can you come to for them to let go of the rest? And then the courts will ultimately decide if you're going to be discharged, and they're going to say, sorry, company, you're just going to have to let the rest of this go, or not. Because sometimes they can be like, no, you didn't do everything that you were supposed to do in these terms, and then you keep your liability. So bankruptcies are super complicated, and it can vary depending on the type, but it is not free asset. It doesn't mean free house. It doesn't mean free car. And that's what people think. Oh, I had a bankruptcy, so I shouldn't have to pay for this. That's not what it is.
Okay, so what about, let's say this, what about like, hey, you took the loan, but you blew the money. You have no asset.
It's often like that.
How the bank, you know what I mean?
It's harder to collect on that, but that would be one of those things where during your arrangement, your terms, they're going to look at your income. You know, how much do you make? What kind of payment plan can we get you on during your bankruptcy? And some bankruptcies last for years. And during that time, you've got to be making your payments. If you fall off and you don't complete your payments, sometimes they deny you a discharge and they dismiss your case. And now you still have all that debt.
Oh, so can anybody go apply for a loan, a business loan, and then later file for bankruptcy or try to play games?
I don't know. I don't work in business loans. I don't know what's required to get one. But I know that for the most part, anybody can file for bankruptcy. A lot of people do really weird things where they will go get a car and immediately file for bankruptcy, which is not a good plan because it takes about 45 days for the time from when you get the car for your paperwork and titling to be complete. And so if you file bankruptcy during that time, it interferes with that process and it has to stop. And so sometimes it can end up in a situation where you can't even title your car because you filed bankruptcy and now no changes can be made. So now you're stuck with a car you can't do anything with.
Okay. Would you advise people to save money in the bank than to invest in, let's say, in the stock market or brands or business or wherever?
I'm not a financial advisor.
But you
so
work in
I
the
don't.
bank.
Working in a bank is not the same thing as working in the stock market. I would say that in general, having a high yield savings account is a good idea. Most savings accounts are not high yield, so it's important to do your research and find out what the rates are and pick one that's going to pay you more because that money is going to build itself.
Okay.
Even if you can only put a little bit in there, you have to start somewhere. One of my favorite sayings, which a supervisor actually told me one time, is start where you are, use what you have, do what you can.
Okay.
You don't have to wait for conditions to be perfect to start. If you've got $20, save your $20. You don't need 100. You don't need 1,000. Start with what you got. If you want to invest, you got $25, invest it. You don't need big chunks. Start small, let it grow.
All right. What are some of challenges you face so far working at your current job now?
When I was in collections, the biggest challenge I faced was mental health because it is such a high stress job. I would use my time off specifically to rest my brain. So every last Saturday I would take PTO, and that's how I would spread it out throughout the year, just so I could have a 3-day weekend and I could just be away from it one day longer.
Was it stressful?
Very stressful. It's a super high stress job. That's why it's not for everyone. You have the opportunity to make good bonuses based on performance, but when you're talking to people all day long, back to back to back, about how broke they are and how they can't pay their bills, and they're yelling at you because they don't think it's right that you're trying to collect on them during their difficult time. But like, I'm also having a difficult time because I'm also a person. It's hard.
Okay. I see. So tell me, how does Capital One approach diversity, equity, and then all inclusion in their everyday to-day life?
It's a good one. They actually have a whole like business group called diversity, inclusion, and belonging. So it's a big part of their culture. They have like seminars and like get-togethers and all kinds of stuff just to share human experience.
I see. Right. So, is it a job for everyone, or what are some of qualifications, that people need to get in the financial or banking, sector?
Honestly, if you're coming in at the ground, you don't need qualifications. You need the right mindset. You need to be coachable. You need to be able to learn, because Capital One likes to take blank slates and build you into what they do. They often will choose someone with no experience over someone who's been doing something for a long time.
Oh.
My friend and we applied at Capital One at the same time. She used to be a restaurant manager, and she spent many years managing, but they didn't hire her. They hired me because she's already in a manager mindset and was not as moldable as I was.
Okay. So you don't need no degree. You don't need, no special, certificate to get in there. Just applied, and then if they want you, they're going to get you in there.
If you're starting at the bottom, you don't need any of that. If you want one of those fancy jobs, yeah, you need that stuff. But to get in the company is the hardest part. And you don't need anything fancy to get in as long as you're willing to do the job.
Okay. Right. So how is teamwork and the culture like over there?
It's huge. There is a lot of team fostering activities. So we have fun days. So there are days where they just pay us half a day. We work half a day. The second half of the day, we hang out. Sometimes we'll, like, if we have a team that's in the same area, you'll go to a park and have a cookout, or maybe you go to an activity place and you play games, or an escape room, or if we're not close together, we get in a Zoom and we play games. Like, they do a lot of fostering to build your connections with people.
Okay. Is it a highly strict, environment to work with? Because certainly in corporate bodies or industries, it's really strict and then really stressful to work, in certain places. How about your experience over there?
It's going to depend on your manager.
Okay.
Some managers are micromanagers. That is their style. And some are not. And I've always been fortunate. The managers that I have are really good at teaching, but then letting go. So once you understand what to do and you can be trusted to do it, they usually step back and let you. And then if you need them, they're there. And they'll still offer development. They'll still give you your feedback. They'll still, have your coachings and what do you want to work on? How can I help you type things. And so that's been the experience I have. And so I've always been super close with my managers. They feel more like friends, but also mentors. The only reason that I am as good at what I am and as successful as I am at what I do is because of the managers I had. They poured into me.
Okay. All right. What inspired you or led you into, going into creating content on YouTube?
So I fell down a rabbit hole. I love to paint my nails. And when everybody was locked in the house, we was just looking at YouTube and stuff. And so I started watching videos of other people painting their nails so I could learn things, because I didn't know. I didn't paint my nails back in the day. And it was so beautiful. I loved it. I became addicted. And then I'm like, if I love watching this, someone else must too. And so I'm like, let me just paint mine for the camera, because obviously somebody's going to want to look at that, and it just
All right. So is there a wider market, audience reach for the content, you doing?
there is a large nail community, but in the nail community there are like subgenres. So most people do gel and acrylic, the professional services, whereas I specialize in regular nail polish. The regular, everybody can use this product, but what I can do with it is spectacular. Most people cannot do what I do because it's really hard, which is why they usually do gel.
Okay. What's the process like, from start to uploading?
Goodness. So I tell people all the time, it's a lot more work than you think. Typically for me, from start of recording till uploading, each video is about 5 to 8 hours of work because I do one hand in a video. And the easy hand might take me an hour, but sometimes it might take 3. It just really depends. And then you've got to edit. And I'm a lazy editor. So I do the bare minimum, but that still means cutting out all the boring stuff, all the downtime. It still means adding things like overlays and sounds and, changing the views and all the things. But I do very minimum because it's a lot already. And then you've got to get it uploaded. And then you've got to do your descriptions for the algorithm. There's a lot. And then you've got to do all the associated social media too.
I see. So what has been one of your biggest challenges with the content, you're creating?
I'm dry. So on the internet, what you sell is personality. And what sells is controversy and extremism. People want things that are outrageous or that inspire argument. And I'm neither of those things. I'm very chill. I'm very casual. And so the community for me is people who just want to hang out.
Okay. What tools or equipment you use, in your production?
It's been a growth. It comes back to the start where you are and use what you have. I had nothing. You start with your phone or the most raggedy camera you've ever seen. And you can do a lot with your phone these days. They're getting real good. You can do all your recording. You can even do your editing and your uploading. But I've grown with time. My setup has changed. My equipment has upgraded. It's still not perfect, but I do have like a legitimate camera now that is separate and it's attached to my laptop. And so I record through this whole setup, but I still do a lot on my phone, especially short form content.
Okay. So how do you measure success beyond subscribers?
Subscriber count only matters some. It really depends on what's your goal.
Okay.
And so for me, my dream world would be if I could do YouTube full time. And that would be the only situation where I would ever leave Capital One. Because they're going to have to remove me by force, except for YouTube. And so for me, success is engagement. It's getting the community to participate in what I do so that I can meet the benchmarks for monetization and for working with brands. I do get to at least work with brands, but I don't currently get monetization.
Okay. How do you balance, creativity with algorithm, success?
It's a fight. It's an internal fight because I tell myself I want to do what I want to do. I do this because I love it and I want to keep loving it. And if I start slaving to the algorithm, that takes away the fun and then I don't love it and then why would I do it? But also, I'm rational. And I understand that if you don't play the algorithm game, you're never going to get where you want to be. Yeah. So I do videos that I think the algorithm will agree with, but I try to do them in a way that I still like.
I see. All right. Right. So what advice would you give to somebody trying to start his or her own, content, game or business or industry or whatever?
Learn how it works first. Don't go banging your head into walls when you don't know what you're doing. Learn the algorithm. Learn what is required to get your content to push out, and then find a community. You need people to work with. If you're just out here by yourself, you don't have anybody to learn from, and you don't have anybody to support you. You need a network. When I was starting out and the algorithm didn't understand me, my friends and family would watch my videos, even though they don't care about nails, just to build my watch time and to get the algorithm to give my content to people who do care about it.
Okay.
They would go and leave comments that are like super supportive, even though they don't care. But it's like, hey girl, that's so nice. Because you need somebody to be there to support you until you can do it yourself.
Okay. Right. So we're trying to wrap up, right? What would you want to tell people watching, this episode or this interview, and people who would love to, know your channel. So what's your channel about? And what's your, your URL or your YouTube,
I have two.
Okay. Tell us.
So everything to do with nails is under Secret Devil YT, being YouTube, and I have all of the social medias, and then I have Megan Makes It, and Makes It is spelled MAXIT, and that is everything non-nails. I have job stuff, side hustle stuff, I've got food stuff. I have a very interesting backstory to do with weight loss and all that stuff. It's all on there. So TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. My Facebook has everything.
Okay.
Secret Devil YT and Megan Makes It.
All right. Thank you, Miss Megan. It's been great having you, giving us more insight into professional life in banking, and then, what you do on the side on YouTube also. Hey, it's been dope. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, guys. Hey, viewers out there, I really appreciate you for showing your support. I really appreciate you for sharing your precious time with me and my guests right here on this episode. But you know what? If you have not subscribed, please go on all social media platforms, just search K84 Podcast and stay connected. Thank you very much. I've been your host and friend, Kenna the Greatest, and I'll catch you again.
It's KKATL, turn up, it's official.